Hello, my real ones, and welcome to a new episode of Real with Rayo, my second solo episode. How are you guys doing? I am feeling good. I'm in a much better position and in a much better place mentally from when I filmed my first video. Thank you so much to everyone who sent me a message and supported, liked, commented, shared. And even if you didn't send a message personally, thank you for supporting. I feel the vibes, I feel the energy, and I'm really excited to see where this community and this podcast continues to grow into. That was the perfect intro for our episode today. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about self versus service. Service versus self. What is that? I've been thinking a lot recently about what I wanted my second episode to be. I was speaking to my friend and I just had this thought, self versus service, and how important it is for us to invest in our community regardless of our circumstances. If you don't know, I am the firstborn and the first daughter. I have two younger siblings, Arola and Asher. Arola is my sister, she's 2 years younger, and Asher is 13 years younger than me. You can imagine, like, I'm the boss. But also, there is a huge sense of responsibility that I have, and some of that is self-inflicted, and some of it is from parents, but also, being the eldest child, you just have an inherent form of responsibility for your siblings. You're a mini mother hen, you want to make sure that they're being the best version of themselves, but they're also being protected, and you also have to take care of them regardless of what is going on in your life. And sometimes I struggle. I can feel very overwhelmed with my personal life. I'm busier than ever at the moment, and having to think about another person selfishly, I'll put my hands up, is a lot. And there are times when I'm okay with it and I'm like, yep, that's fine, add it to my list, I'll do that. And there are times where I just think, oh my gosh, I need a minute. And it can also feel like you're always the one having to sacrifice. And for me, I know that's an emotion that I feel. I don't want to speak for everyone else. I have felt it in the past, and for a long time, I couldn't really communicate it because it's a bit of a weird thing to say, right? How come it's always me that has to do something, right? When you're the eldest, but it's my truth, it's the truth. And it was slightly frustrating because I could see the difference and how it was almost sort of now becoming a little bit of an entitlement, right? And it's done in a very subtle way. I had my frustration. However, I'm supposed to be of service. That is my birthright. Being the eldest daughter, I think I've come into a point where I've just accepted that that's what I'm supposed to do. The same way my parents have poured into not only me but to my siblings, I am supposed to pour into them, but also take care of them and take care of my parents as well one day. And I also think firstborns have their special blessings. I do, I believe it. And a part of spiritual maturity and also just personal maturity is being able to own that responsibility, but also being able to balance that tension between service and self, and knowing when it's time to pull back, put some boundaries in place, take care of myself mentally or emotionally, and communicate in a respectful and in a healthy way, not from a point of frustration, because that's something I will do. I'll keep everything in, and then one day I just blow up and I'm like, I can't, I lose my temper, it's not cute, it's not respectful, and it's something that I've become aware of and I'm actively trying to change, because you can't really build healthy relationships, right, if you don't know how to communicate. And you would think for someone who has a podcast, I'm a good communicator, right? I am better now. But I also think capitalism has allowed us to be very self-absorbed. And again, I don't want to be preachy here. I put my hands up to say I have my to-do list every single day. Most of my to-do list has stuff to do with work, my podcast, my errands, the things I need to do, my responsibilities, my wish list. It's all about me, right? I have perfectly curated my life to the point where I know how to take care of myself. I know what I need to do to keep myself going. I know what I need to focus on to get myself from A to B. It's all about me, 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 right? And while that isn't a bad thing, because let's be real, who else is going to do it for me? At what point am I creating space in that to-do list to be of service to other people? And it doesn't have to be in a big way. It could just be being okay with inconveniencing myself for an hour or a couple of minutes to help another person instead of prioritizing what I need to do. All of this, have like nuances and caveats, right? Like it's not as simple. But then I think just having that thought about being of service to other people and not being so sucked up and so self-oriented all the time, because it's a very, very, very dangerous slope to go on. And growing up in Nigeria, I was fortunate enough to have a sense of community, have a real sense of family with not only my immediate and extended family, but with my neighbors at church, with aunties and uncles that are not even family, right? And I don't know my neighbors now. I've lived in the same apartment for 3 years, and of course, when I say see them, I say hello and we speak, but that's not knowing them. I don't know what they do for work. I don't know much about their personal life. I don't know their birthday. And it's slightly embarrassing, to be honest, because that's not how I was raised, and that's not how any of my parents are. My parents are actually both very like community oriented, right? Whether it's, with their friends and family, but even to external members. And I think there's a direct correlation between being selfish and being self-oriented in a capitalist society and loneliness. I feel lonely. I'll put my hands up again to say that. And of course, I have friends, I have a social life, I have my sister, I have cousins in the UK as well. But it's not the same. The loneliness I feel generally, I don't feel when I'm in Nigeria or even when I'm in Singapore with my mom. And I've been seeing a lot of research to show how this stat is increasing in the UK, especially among Gen Z and millennials. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I do think some of it is just down to, the economy and social media, but I also think it comes down to the lack of community that we have. Over a month ago, I lost a really close friend, Laulu Daranija, rest in peace. And losing Laulu was devastating, heartbreaking, and it was my first real experience of grief as an adult. And as heartbreaking as it was, it taught me the importance of community in a real way. In the early stages of us finding out about Laulu's passing, his mom's friends created a WhatsApp group chat. And in that WhatsApp group chat, there were prayers 4 times a day, and 4 of the aunties will lead the prayer, and then it slowly opened up to anyone in the group chat can volunteer and pray. Those prayers single-handedly carried me through the first 6 weeks of finding out, and also made me realize how a generosity of spirit is truly, truly important. Because grief in itself is such a lonely feeling, especially if the people around you might not know the person that passed away, or you're numb, you're finding it hard to communicate your feelings, or you don't even know how you feel. It's truly an out-of-body experience, right? But having community to show up for you in a time where you don't even know what you want, you don't even know how to feel, you don't even feel, you're just numb, or you're so deeply emotional and vulnerable that prayer is one of the only ways that gives you a sense of comfort. And the fact that his mom's friends did that, for me, that would always stay with me because it was a true act of love and a true act of service. And it made me even think to my life and my friends and the people in my life that have shown up for me, whether it's through beautiful messages or phone calls or showing up at my house or ordering me food, like little things that are really not so little when you're in a point of just distress. It goes a long way, and it makes a difference to know that there are people around you that you can lean on and can carry you through the weight of the emotions that you feel. And I think to myself, I must have invested in this community to some extent for me to be able to reap the love and care that I have felt during this period. And it's been an even bigger motivation for me to continuously invest in my community and my friends and being okay with being inconvenienced for short term because of them. Because I know when it comes down to it, they are my community, they are my supporters, they are the people that will get me through these hard times. And life is dynamic. You never really know what situation or circumstance you're going to be in, but you can't expect a lot of things out of life if you don't give a lot. Like, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? You have to always be okay with giving. And I think that's something that wealthy people have, is a generosity of spirit. They're very generous with their time. Haven't you noticed that sometimes, at least for me, the really successful people that I speak to and I want to have a conversation with, and I'm like, hey, I'd love to have coffee with you, or could you please give me 20-30 minutes of your time? It's always yes. It's always yes. It's always a smooth process. They're always happy to help. And I think that's because they live in a state of abundance. They understand that you have to give in whatever capacity that may be. Giving looks different for everyone. It could be monetarily, it could be through your time, it could be through your spirit. It could just be being of service. And you can be of service to people and to the world in different ways, right? Walking in your purpose is also being of service. But I think that contention between service and self is it's very peculiar, but it's important for us to master it, because we also have to think about how we service ourselves. Let's talk about relationships and how everyone is struggling to find a partner and complain about dating apps. Personally, I'm not on dating apps. I don't know if I truly believe in them in its entirety. If anything, I think you should be on one. I don't think you should be on multiple dating apps, but that's besides the point. That's besides the point. It's hard for us to meet people and find connections because we don't have third spaces. If you're not at work or at a party or at a bar, I mean, I know there are membership clubs, but where are people meeting people? Like, how are you connecting with people? When was the last time you made a new friend? I don't really have a lot of new friends, and I'm not opposed to it, but I also can recognize that I don't go out of my way enough to be able to create spaces for new friendships. But that's not sustainable, because for our network and for us to grow personally, we have to create those spaces where we meet other people, we have relationships, we have friendships. Some people don't even know how to hold a conversation nowadays. Let's talk about it. And part of it is because you just don't have to. You're working remotely, you speak to the same people every day. You're not exercising the communication skills that you were taught in school, and it's like a muscle, right? If you don't use it, it gets weak. And I think that's really what it comes down to. So I say all of this to say, think about how you can be of service to other people. Think about how complaining when you've been asked to do something for someone is really not that serious. Like, you can do it. Everyone is busy, right? But 20-30 minutes out of your day, an hour, that's fine. That's fine. You will get it back. You will make it back. You will make that money back, Being of service is centered in love. And I want you to remember that, because love is everywhere. Love is within you. Give love. It's free. It's nice. It feels good both ways. You know, when you do something for someone and then you're like, oh, that felt really good as well, because their gratitude makes you feel good. See? Just do it. I love you guys, and if you have any additional thoughts on this topic or questions, please leave them down below. This is an open conversation. I'm keen to know what you think and how you're of service to not only your community but of service to yourself. And if this is something you also think about, like, it can't be just me, right? Because we're all in one consciousness, right? Love you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.